Hey everyone, welcome. Today I thought I'd do a quick little video on some awesome ink blending to make a scene using all Catherine Pooler inks. And the reason that I'm doing this video is to celebrate Catherine Pooler's Inkaversary. And November 1st and 2nd you can get 15% off. I'll leave a link in the description box below. But what I'm going to show you is how I made this right here. And it's really quick. I probably spent more time showing you the inks than I actually did blending the picture. So I used Lime Ricky, Something Borrowed, a Flirty Fuchsia, a Rockin' Red, I love that color, Tutti Frutti. I got black ink all over the place, Tiara. I've got Tiki Torch and Orange Twist. And then I've got a couple of yellows and of course the Catherine Pooler black ink. And then I'll be using the Stampscapes Set 6. I'll be using the trees, the tree line, the rocks, the tree, and the water line. I mean, these stamps are so versatile, you can make just about anything with them. So what I need to do is I'm looking for my circle mask that of course is buried somewhere. This was pretty much an impromptu video because I didn't even know until just now. And it's funny that I happen to be experimenting with Catherine Pooler inks. I haven't done a lot of ink blending with them. So mainly I've only, went direct to paper for the colors. Never really stamped with them much, never did much of anything with them. And, my friends, Flying Snobs Club, everybody's raving, so I decided to try it, and I'm hooked. So I've got my little mask here, and this is just a reusable mask that I made with some Cricut transfer paper, and I'm just going to lay it down on my paper. I'm going to take my rag, and I'm going to kind of wipe it down because I just used it recently, and I don't want to spread color. Plus, that'll help it lay down onto the paper. And then I'm going to take my mint tape. You can use any kind of tape or just a piece of paper or whatever. And I'm going to cover probably about 1/4 of that circle in as straight of a line as I can get. I'm not going to be super picky about it. And so now that I've got it all masked off, I'm going to do my sunset first. So I'm going to go in with the tiara. And by the way, I didn't speed this up at all. And I'm just tapping it in and I'm tapping it off a little, and I'm using a very light hand to just kind of do a circular motion there around the sun. Not a whole lot of color, it's a fairly light color, but you want to go several light layers rather than trying to go in dark at first, because you'll see when I go to blend the water, it gets a little funky. It does blend out though, and by the way, this is just plain old accent opaque paper. It's not a fancy paper or anything. So next I'm going in with the Tiki Torch, and I'm going to just kind of go around that. And it's okay that I got that little dark spot. It will blend out and it will kind of lighten up. And I'll be putting some other colors in, blending with it. So then I'll go in with the Orange Twist. So we're sticking with oranges pretty much to start with. And I'm just going to kind of do a straight back and forth and then arching motion, and then kind of blend circularly down. Can you believe how quick and easy this is? And this stuff is so easy to work with. I'm going to use the same brush. I'm going to go in with a Rockin' Red. And we're going to rock out that top with Rockin' Red. And I start off the paper and then blend down. Took one tap. I'll probably go in for another tap though, because what I'm doing is lightly spreading it down towards the bottom. And I'm going to go in with some Tutti Frutti, same brush again, just tap it off. I'm going to start on my little mask there, and I'm just trying to get the kind of the very edges there blended very lightly, just to bring in that color. And then finally we'll go in with the Flirty Fuchsia, and I will switch brushes for this one. And I'm going to go in with a really light hand in just various spots, and just make little circular motions and blend some of this Flirty Fuchsia in. And again, I am not pressing down hard on my brush. I am pressing very, very lightly. If you press hard, you're going to get brush marks. And if you do, not a big deal. And depending on the paper you use, some papers will blend it out anyway. The accent opaque, not so much. But you see, it does blend out. And so there we've got our cloudy sunset. Pretty quick and easy. I'm just going to wipe off my excess colors there. I'm going to pull off my tape, and I won't reuse the tape because it needs to go where the ink just was, and the ink's wet, so it won't stick very well. And I'm going to carefully pull up my mask. And it's okay if it left a little bit of a residue on there because it's going to get covered up. Just carefully pull it up. I'm going to grab another piece of mint tape, and you see little fingerprints on there. Those don't matter either. And I'm going to lay my mint tape about 1 centimeter higher than the color line so that the two colors will blend together and I don't have a white line. And then I'm going to put another piece across the bottom because that's where my rocks are going to be. And we're just going in with one color, something borrowed. Now, if you have more shades of blue, great. This is the only actual blue I have. Everything else is kind of a blue-green. And I mean, you could put blue-green on there. It's your water, but, you know, I'm trying to be kind of realistic here. And you see I'm blending heavier on the sides and lighter towards the center. So I start off on the sides, and any kind of ink globbers, it doesn't matter. It's water, and we're going to be putting some waves in. But those will blend out as I go heavier with the ink. So I'm kind of layering the ink. I'm getting color down, and then I'll go in again and get it heavier where I need it. And I'll use some back and forth strokes and then go back into my circular because I need this part of the water to be darker. So you see I've got that kind of light area in the water where the sun would be shining down into it. And I'm just going to kind of blend that upward so there's no harsh lines. And a lot of this will be covered with trees. So, you know, you can do it as neat or as sloppy as you want, but know that it's going to be covered. I'm going to go ahead and pull off my tape. I'm going to put something on there because I just don't want to get blue fingerprints on my sunset background. So now we've got our water, we've got our sunset. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to color in the sun, and I'm going to use Catching Rays for that. And again, with the brush for yellow, I'm going to go in with a pretty light hand and just do a circular motion. And it's okay if you get off into the blue because it just makes it kind of reflect off the water. And you can see I'm also blending outside of the edges to kind of just blend that all in together to make it mesh. And pretty much the ink blending portion of this is done. Now all I have to do is stamp. So first I'm going to stamp my tree line. And I like to place my stamp towards the bottom of the stamp platform because I'm not going to be using acetate or anything, so I'm kind of just aiming, and I want to make sure that I have a straight line. Because Lord knows without any kind of guide, I'm not going to have a straight line. So with the Catherine Pooler in Midnight, this will stamp on one side. Just lay it down, let the ink soak in for a minute. Or a few seconds, a hot minute, I guess. Now, a hot minute is longer than a minute, isn't it? It's like a long time. Something. And I'm going to ring this again. And you really got to tap lightly with this black ink. It is juicy. And I've had this black ink for a while, and it's still pretty juicy. So I'm just filling in that tree line. I mean, between these inks and these stamps, you can look like a genius, and it really was the ink and the stamps doing the work. That was just my hand moving around. So I'm going to get those trees off of there, and I'm going to grab the rockscape here. And it can pretty much go across the whole card, but I'm going to do it in halves. So I'm just going to lay my ink on there, being careful not to get it too mushy. This stamp just blows my mind. It is so cool. I'm just going to stamp it down on basically half, lift, and then I'm going to stamp it down on the other half. And I'm going to get a little bit more ink on there. Nope, no more ink, just stamp. Because I'm going to be putting a tree right there, so it's not really going to show. And I'll be coloring those rocks in too. Now, I don't have any rock colors of Catherine Pooler. I have plenty of those colors, but my goal here was to use all Catherine Pooler inks, so I'm going to stick to it. So I'm going to lay my big tree down on my Simon Hurley stamping block because it's nice and long. I'm going to ink up my tree. I'm going to place it right in that spot where it kind of made a line. And just stamp it down. Lift. And then I'm going to stamp off a little bit lower and to the right, just to kind of make a tree more in the distance. And then I'm going to stamp one on the other side. And just placing it where I would love a tree to be. I don't want it to block my rocks. I don't want a lot of trees blocking my rocks because that's my path down to the water. So this is where I want to go camping. And I'm going to have a tent with all the amenities and a real bathroom, like, you know, a few steps away. And then, you know, downtown about a 2-minute drive. That's how it used to be when I was a kid and we'd go camping at Dardanelle or we'd go at Pinecrest Lake or something out in California. It was, our campgrounds were, you know, for that period of time, glamp grounds. And my grandmother had a trailer. So anyway, I'm just going to kind of clean up my black so I don't accidentally get black ink fingerprint marks on my picture while I'm doing my little hand coloring. And I'm just going to use my little Altenew blending brush. And I'm going to grab the Serenade, because it's, I mean, purple could pretend to be gray. You could probably even do like reds and oranges in there that would kind of maybe reflect the water. You know how the whole scenery kind of gets colored like that with that kind of sunset. But anyways, I'm going in with purple, and I'm going dark and light. Doesn't really matter. It's not important. This little Altenew blending brush, by the way, is everything. It's so nice. I'm glad Simon used it and I saw and I went, yep, gotta have that. So I'm just kind of coloring in the rocks here. And I'll color most of it, but I will leave some empty spaces because I do want to throw a little bit of green in there, like, I don't know, maybe moss or a little grass coming through or something. I don't know. Just for that added color. I mean, this is definitely not a fantasy scene. It's my fantasy scene. I would love to look out my back porch and see that scene, but it's a more realistic scene than what you normally see me do. And so I'm going to go in with the Lime Ricky because, again, I don't have a bunch of Catherine Pooler inks. They're on the way. Trust me. I'm shopping because November 1st and 2nd, you get 15% off of inks and re-inkers, except for the newest inks. So I'll have a link down below. Make sure you click that link and shop that link to get that 15% off. And that will also help out, you know, with the Foiling Snobs Club and some of the cool things we do, like our giveaways and shipping and stuff like that. So there's my rocks colored, and they've got a little bit of moss going on in them. And again, if you have a bigger collection, you could probably find more appropriate colors. But I used what, maybe 8 colors of ink on this thing. And I used mostly the minis because that's what I have. I do have the date night collection. I really didn't even know anything about Catherine Pooler inks until basically the date night collection came out. So I'm going to just wipe up here a little bit. And all I have left to do is stamp the water. And so I've got the waterline stamp, a part of that Stampscapes set. I'm just going to lay it on here, and I'm going to use the very same blue, which was which blue was it? Something blue. Something borrowed? Yeah. I know it was something. And I'm just going to ink it up. Ooh, that was close. That was so close, y'all. And just lay down this. It just does it perfectly. I can't even get over how amazing these stamps are. Little stamp off there, and there we have the water. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And happy Inkaversary to Catherine Pooler. Don't forget, 15% off November 1st and 2nd. All inks and re-inkers except the new ones. Have a good one. Bye-bye.